What we're going to do now is we're going to look at two specific factoring methods. We're going to look at the sum and difference of cubes, and then what we're going to do is we're going to look at factoring by grouping. All of these are factoring cubics, and remember cubics would be degree 3. So the first ones that we're going to look at are sum and difference of cubes. How we know it's a sum is there's a plus sign in between the two cubes, and how we know it's a difference is there's a subtraction sign. Now, if you look at the two formulas, you'll notice that they're basically identical except for two things. One is for the sum, it's plus and then minus. For the difference, it's minus and then plus. Basically, it's identical other than that. So the first thing I like to do is write it in terms of cubes. So x cubed minus 3 cubed, because 3 cubed is 27. That lets me know that my a value is x and my b value is 3. So then, since I see there's a subtraction sign, I'm going to be using the difference of cubes in order to solve it. So I have x minus 3, that's the a minus b, and then I square the a, so that's x squared. I times the a and the b, so that would be 3x, and I square the b, which is 9. And that right there is my answer. Now for the next one, it's a little bit more complicated. I'm first going to write it as cubes, so this right here would be 2x cubed, because 2 cubed is 8. And I have 5y cubed, because 5 cubed is 125. My a value is 2x, my b value is 5y. So when I write this, what I have is 2x plus 5y, and then I have 4x squared, because a squared would be a times a, so 2x times 2x would give me 4x squared, minus 10xy, because I've multiplied the a and the b. And then I square this, so I get plus 25y squared. And that right there would be my answer. Now, if I look at the next one, this right here is factoring by grouping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor the first two, and that would be an x squared. I'm going to factor the last two, and that would be a negative 4. Then what I notice is that they both have an x minus 3. So I factor out an x minus 3, and what's left over is an x squared minus 4. Now, the x squared minus 4 can be factored some more. Whenever you have a binomial that can be square rooted, what we have is we have the x minus 3, and then we have the x minus 2, x plus 2. And that's what we get for that second binomial. Okay, let's look at a few more. So for letter D, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to write it as a cube, so x cubed plus 2 cubed. And so when I write it, I put x plus 2, and then I put x squared minus 2x, and then I square the b, and I get plus 4. Now, letter E is a difficult one because we don't see cubes, but what we notice is that they both have a 2 in common. So we factor out a 2, and that gives us 125 x cubed plus 1. Then I'm going to write it as cubes. So that would be 2, and that would be 5x cubed, and that would be 1 cubed. So when I write out the formula, what I have to remember is to keep the 2 on the outside. My binomial would be 5x plus 1. And then my trinomial, I'm going to square my a value. And that gives me 25x squared. Then I have minus 5x times 1, which is 5x. And then I have 1 squared, which is 1. Now, letter F. What we're going to do is we're going to factor it by grouping. And so I'm going to factor the first two, and I see they have an x squared in common, and that gives me x minus 5. I see they have a negative 9 in common, so that would give me x minus 5. And what I notice is that they both have an x minus 5, and what's left over is an x squared minus 9. Now, I can take the square root, and when I take the square root, I get x minus 5, I get x minus 3, and I get x plus 3.